In this presentation, I'm going to show you how I consistently make over $2,000 a month working only 12 hours a week in my private practice teaching business. If you're struggling with wanting a better work-life balance, enjoying the respect you deserve, having a flexible schedule so you can do things with and for your family, but you still love teaching, then you're in the right place. My name is Rachel Siccioni, and I am the owner of My French U and now the private practice teacher. I just finished up my 11th year of teaching, 9 in the classroom, and my second at My French U. Last month, I billed $2,400, all while working only 12 hours a week. This business has been such a blessing for me and our family. And if you told me 2 years ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I never would have believed you. I never knew this existed or was a possibility. Hitting $2,000 a month was my first big goal for private practice teaching. It meant that I replaced the income I would have had if I had stayed in the classroom for my old employer. Now, I had been working full time, but when the pandemic hit and grandparents could no longer help, I needed to go part-time so that way I could get our young children on and off the bus. The solution that the school came up with was to allow me to teach all of the same classes that I had been teaching, so a full teaching class load, but no extra duties like study hall and homeroom that would allow me to get my kids on and off the bus. However, that meant only getting 50% of my salary. I know, who could pass that up? Well, for me, when I hit that $2,000 a month, bring home, that was the 50% of my salary. And it was obviously a ton less work than if I'd stayed where I was. And it also meant that I have a flexible schedule so I can get my kids on and off the bus. No more sub plans or added stress when I or my kids are sick. It means I have my evenings and weekends back. No more Sunday dread. I love Mondays. It's one of my favorite days of the week, actually. It means I'm not too exhausted to think about what's for dinner. It means I have no more extra duties or BS initiatives that really have nothing to do with student learning. And it has given me more freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, but probably most importantly, mental freedom. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to get there. You may not know this, but there's a huge misconception about private practice teaching. Today, I'm going to share with you why you don't need to work for someone else, working yourself to death, jumping through their hoops and accepting what they're offering in order to make money as a teacher, and how I was able to fall in love with teaching again, make money, and have the home work balance I've always wanted. And I'm going to walk you through it. First, I'll share with you that private practice teaching is not tutoring. Then I'll share 3 secrets to owning your own private practice teaching business for yourself. And those 3 secrets are how I make $2,000 a month consistently, working only 12 hours a week, how to find students with no business or marketing experience, how to hit $2,000 months, even when you think you can't charge that much for what you have to offer. First, private practice teaching is probably not what you think. It is not tutoring. I've tutored in the past and it was okay, but the hours, pay, creativity, longevity, consistency, and control were not what I wanted. It had its moments, but that's not what I wanted to do, and it's not dependable. Once students reach their goal, pass that test, or get through that unit or semester, they don't need tutors anymore. This is different. And to be honest, I haven't tutored at all in this past year. It never occurred to me that I could teach independently until I was approached by a very small local private school to create a course for just 2 of their students. I was reluctant for several reasons, but I agreed. My head started spinning with questions. What would this look like? What platform should I use? What are they expecting? What should I charge? How should I charge? How should they pay me? What if they don't like me? How much work will this be? Will it even be worth it? Obviously, I figured it out. With trial and error, lots of error, and massive messy action, I have unlocked the code to making real money as a private practice teacher. 3 years ago, I never knew that this existed. Even up to 2 years ago, I had no idea that this was even an option. So here we are. Secret number 1, how I make $2,000 a month working 12 hours a week. First, you don't need to work 50 hours a week. The idea here is that in order to make thousands of dollars a month, I consistently make over $2,000 a month, just 12 hours a week, because I only do what directly impacts the learning of the student in front of me. So all of those other things that you do as a teacher that do not directly impact learning, I don't do. No submitting grades or lesson plans, no data to correlate or send up, no disciplinary issues, no professional development that doesn't relate to me, no additional duties, honestly, no grading. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, if the students don't get a B or better, I give it back to them and I make them do it again. So I don't have grading. So the idea here is that you don't need to work over 50 hours a week or even 40 hours a week in order to have students learning and get paid. Thanks to the over 100 teachers who completed my teacher exit survey, I have an idea of what you might be thinking. How can I make $2,000 only working 12 hours a week when teaching is so much work? Well, that's how. You only do what you need to do for that student that's in front of you. And in the classroom, teachers do so many things that do not directly impact student learning. After the first few weeks of working with a new student, the class takes on a rhythm of its own, just like it does in the classroom. And the prepping for each lesson comes down to only taking maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So 5 or 10 minutes, and then just the students that are in front of me for the hour or the 2 hours that I have them a week. And that's it for that student. With private practice teaching, I only do the things that benefit that student, and I don't need a ton of data to know what that is. Here's a bird's eye view of private practice teaching. You simply teach and you get paid. I don't have to do 30 things at once because there's only 1 or 2 students in front of me. And as long as those 1 or 2 students are happy and learning, I get paid. And of course they are, because we can move through material at a much faster pace. And everything that we do is tailored to their interests, learning goals, and styles of learning. Now, again, from the survey, many of you mentioned that parents have been a nightmare for you this year. So you might be thinking, how can working for individual families be easier than working for a school system? Well, here's how. In my private practice, my students and families know that I know what I'm doing. Being in private practice automatically gives you the professional authority that you should have in the classroom, but don't, right? The parents I work with do not nitpick or question my every pedagogical decision. In fact, when I had to miss a live session with their children because my daughter was in the hospital getting a biopsy, guess what they did? You'll never guess. They got me presents and my daughter's presents. Yep, gifts and a card. That's what they did. When I was in the ER with that same child a couple years ago, while in the classroom, I got harassed for more detailed subplans because they didn't want to accept the emergency subplans I had prepared over the summer for just such an occasion. And if I do have disciplinary problems with a student, I talk directly to the parent. We handle the situation right away. And at the end of the day, this is my business. And we get to decide who we work with. In the classroom, parents might get to choose the school, but they don't get to choose the individual teachers. And the same thing goes for the teachers. We don't get to choose the students, but in private practice, you do. In private practice, the families and I choose to work together. And that's a huge difference in the way the relationship even starts from the beginning. And like I said, I don't grade anymore. So there's no more arguing about grades. They pay me to help them learn. And now teaching is back to being about the learning and not about the grades. So if the work's not B quality or better, I give it back to them, they fix it, and then they give it back. And guess what? My students are doing better than they did in the traditional school system. All right, so you might be thinking that's great, but how do I get students without any business or marketing experience? Well, that brings me to secret number 2. The second secret is students exist outside of schools too, which is why we develop a customized marketing strategy to find and attract your ideal students. The possibilities are endless, so you have to start thinking differently. What starts as a tiny flame will be engulfed as your community gets larger and larger and more people start talking about you and what you're doing. And don't underestimate the relationships that you already have either. Many people already know that you're a great teacher. And because you're a classroom teacher, if you're like me and many other teachers, you already have relationships with former students. And those are your references and your testimonials. And those are the people that can already come out and tell others that can let your audience know, and part of your marketing strategy, what a great teacher you are and what they love about having you as a teacher. So you've already got the testimonials, you've been teaching. This is just a different twist on it. So not only do not all students exist in the classroom, and teachers are not the only ones that are leaving traditional classrooms. There are lots of homeschool groups that would love to have a real teacher, and they would value you not just for the content that you're able to teach, but for your skills as a teacher, the fact that you know how to teach and you have a degree in how students learn and how to teach. As more and more people are doing this on their own or attempting to do this on their own via homeschooling, there's a new appreciation for teachers and what we have learned how to do. And also, even if what you teach is offered in traditional classrooms, you can still have consistent students. Unlike tutoring, teaching is consistent because of those relationships. Remember, we choose to work with each other. We enjoy working together, and there's an understanding that we know how to teach so that student learns. So even if you just have one particular content or one particular level that you could teach, your students may want to stick with you to grow in that content area, or to learn other maybe science-based content that you're able to teach, or other language-based content or music-based content or whatever. Also, not all students will have access to your content. So there will be students in some small private schools, or like I said, homeschool groups, that may not have access to your particular content or content that you're able to teach or enjoy teaching. And not all students learn well from every teacher. So while parents may be able to choose schools, they don't get to choose the teachers that their children have within those schools. And that's one of the things that makes private practice teaching differently. And then finally, not all learners are children. I mean, we think back to the pandemic and how many people had, sourdough starters. Adults are wanting to learn too, and they're wanting to enrich themselves and pursue passion projects and courses that they enjoyed learning in high school. They want to go back and revisit now. So not all your students are necessarily even going to be children or, K through 12 or higher ed students. All right, so this means that you can earn $2,000 a month working only 12 hours a week, teaching privately, without working for a draining school system or an educational company. In fact, half of my students have been with me since I started in September of 2020, because it's relationships that equal the longevity. And that brings me to the third secret. So you might be thinking, how do I charge for an education that people can get for free, or that their tax dollars are already paying for? Well, that brings me to the last secret. How to hit $2,000 months, even when you think what you have to offer isn't that valuable. So what about all of these apps, free videos, and cheap and cheaper online programs that people use to learn? Well, while those programs may have thousands of people using them, and they're happy to take your money, they're impersonal. They're not dedicated to the learning experience of each one of their users. It's a much larger thing than that. They don't have an individual teacher. They may have had a teacher design the program for them, and that would be great. I've been approached by companies asking me to do that sort of thing for them. But it's completely different when somebody is hiring you personally to teach them content and make sure that content that had been previously inaccessible to them, even though they had access to the information, it's not the same as having access to the content. And that's the specialty of teaching. That's what we do. And going back to the first one, how can I charge for an education that people can get for free or either from YouTube? Again, it's the teacher that makes that accessible. And not all teachers are equally good at making all content accessible. So while they may have a teacher that teaches your content in their local public school, that teacher may not be gifted at making the content accessible for every learner in their room. I mean, of course we try to, but I've had students that I haven't been able to figure out the way their brains work. And I have struggled to make my content accessible for those students, despite my best efforts. But that doesn't mean that another teacher wouldn't be able to do it. And that's the niche with private practice teaching. And last, even if you don't immediately recognize the value of what you offer, other people do. I have not had anybody balk at my pricing of $300 for 1 hour a week or $500 for 2 hours a week, a month. So $300 a month for 1 hour a week, or $500 a month for 2 hours a week. We are trained and invested in the personal learning of each of our students, and that's how we're able to charge $60 to $75 an hour for both our time and our expertise without feeling like we have to do anything more than teach. I know, wild, right? Just make sure. Okay, so this is how I know. When I first started, I had no idea what the potential was. I undercharged and I worked my butt off. I still had the teacher mindset of where I had to prove my worth. I had to prove that I was worth being paid that much an hour and that much a month. Because that's what we get as teachers. We're constantly being asked for more and more and more and more. But when our students are learning, they're happy. And honestly, most people don't really understand all of the other things that we're asked to do as classroom teachers. And when the only thing we have to do is teach, so much of that work, it's joyful work. And it's not the kind of work that you have to, you don't have to constantly over deliver. Just teaching is enough. And then I started working with my own coach. It's my own business coach, because I needed to get a business mindset. And she looked at what I was doing and put the brakes on and said I was working way too hard for way too little. She helped me completely change my pricing, completely change what I was offering and to do. I was creating probably 20 hours worth of work for my students to do a week, or not a week, a month, 20 hours worth of work for them to do, instead of 4 hours worth of work for them to do for less money than what I am charging now. And again, it's because as teachers, we are much too used to that teacher martyr mindset and teacher scarcity mindset, that it helps to have somebody with a business mindset help us to reevaluate what we're doing. So here we're going to recap. Secret number 1, private practice teaching can consistently generate at least $2,000 a month, working only 12 hours a week. Secret number 2, students exist outside of the classroom and they may look different than you expect. Secret number 3, you can charge a premium price for your services, regardless, even outside of your geographic area. Because in this day and age, I have no idea where you're watching this from, but I have students from all over the country. So I'm not tied down to whatever the cost of living is in my particular area in order for me to have students. So that was another eye-opening experience. All right, so I've been where you are. I have been exhausted, frustrated, lost, trapped, disrespected, unappreciated, angry, resentful, heartbroken. And I have done the virtual, this synchronous, asynchronous, I pivoted, hybrid, modified schedule, student directed, flipped classroom. I've done all of it. And I am beyond grateful that that is not my reality anymore. Now, I quit my part-time job. When I first left the classroom, it didn't make sense to not have something else to go to. So I had a part-time job while I was starting my private practice teaching business. I quit my part-time job so I could take on more students. And within just a couple of months, I was making more privately than I was working at my part-time job as an aide, a classroom aide. I stopped working weekends so I could have more time with my family and do things that are fun. I take off when I need to. Appointments, illness, fun. I have time for real self-care, not just doctor's appointments, but massages or maybe getting my nails done every once in a while. I set the example for my kids to follow their dreams and their passions without compromising the things that are important to them. And I have a wait list of students now because in March, I decided to put my own business on hold and begin creating my 90-day Jumpstart program to help other teachers do what I do and fall in love with teaching again. That way you can build your private practice teaching business over the summer and start making money and not have to return to the classroom in the fall if that is not what you want to be doing. So knowing how private practice teaching has improved mine and my family's lives and knowing the potential it has to help other teachers, how could I not share what I've learned and this possibility for other teachers? So this program is for the teacher that loves teaching, but either can't or couldn't stay in the classroom anymore, is ready to build a sustainable business so they can find balance between work and home life, is ready to feel confident building and running their own business, is just starting their business or has gotten little to no traction, or is making a little profit, and wants to have freedom and consistent income owning their own business, but has no idea where to begin. That's who I've created this program for, so that you can finally have more time freedom, whether that's vacationing, being home with your family, or quitting your day job. Create more impact on the world. Teachers are not the only ones leaving the classroom, and not everyone who wants to learn goes to a school. I love being able to teach a diverse population. Now, when I teach 14 and up, that up goes up, up, up. One of my oldest students right now is 64, and it's so much fun. To stop stressing out money because you're finally charging what you're worth, and you're able to pay off your bills and make real money working from home. And to feel so aligned and joyful with the programs and offerings that you are easily able to show up confident and excited to talk about your programs with prospective students and enjoy the respect that you deserve and should have been getting all along, because honestly, teaching privately is much easier than classroom teaching. And it almost makes me angry how much more respect is just given to me as a business owner that I didn't get as a teacher. But we're going to work to fix that, because that's on my agenda. With one of the things I'm hoping private practice teaching will do is give teaching the makeover, the facelift that it desperately needs. So in this program, I have literally taken everything that I have learned, created, and curated in my 2 years of private practice teaching and designed a program to teach you how to create, market, and run your own unique private practice teaching business. And here's why it's so amazing and all the things you'll get. The 90-day program gives you plenty of time and resources and support to create, market, and run your business. In the create section, we're going to work on changing your mindset out of that scarcity mindset, that martyr mindset, and that teachers have been trained to have. Creating a daily schedule that actually works for you, whether you are not retrofitting your whole life around a career, but you're building a career that will work in harmony with the life that you want to create, and decide who and what it is you want to teach. Next, we'll market, how to find your students, creating a website, what and how to charge for your teaching, and then run, how to run your business. We're talking systems, learning platforms, how and where you're going to teach, getting paid, taxes, business accounts, etc. I will teach you everything that you need to monetize your time and hit your financial goals. How it works. I have 4 in-depth modules with pre-recorded videos, worksheets, PDFs, and resources, so you can do it when it works best for you in your schedule, a $2,000 value. 2 weekly live coaching calls, so we can troubleshoot in real time anything that you're working on in your business. Kids are always welcome. Mine will definitely be popping in and out for sure. Weekly content review, so that way you can get video and written feedback on anything that you have created for your landing pages, for your website, for captions on any social media or marketing that you're working on. You will get that content that you're creating reviewed with me every week. unlimited messaging, hopefully unlimiting too, directly to me Monday through Friday, a Slack community group that is just for those that are in the mentor program, separate from the Facebook group. So that way you can collaborate with other like-minded teachers and have a support system. So you know that you're not alone and you can learn and grow from each other. And then first access and a lifetime 50% discount to any program updates or any new information that comes along. You will always be tied into the private practice teacher Jumpstart group. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to talking with you in your private practice teaching business. Bye.